Success is not about working hard. It's all about systems. And the greatest people on earth like Leonardo da Vinci and Darwin knew that very well. They developed step-by-step frameworks that helped them get more and better results at their work faster than anyone else. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the 5 AI systems that you can use to achieve your goals without relying on motivation. These exact systems have been proven to work for hundreds of years, and now you can actually run them 10 times faster using AI. The first one is the learning system. In 1880, Hermann Ebbinghaus had a strange intuition that the human brain erases critical information from memory, so he tested it on himself for months. He memorized hundreds of nonsense syllables and tried to recall them every few hours. And what he discovered is what's now called the forgetting curve. Hermann found out that the brain erases almost 90% of new information within the first week. So this explains why famous people like Leonardo da Vinci, Darwin, and Edison were always carrying notebooks with them. Every single time they learned something new, they noted it down. And this wasn't because they weren't smart enough, but they knew that the brain forgets new information very quickly. So this simple system allowed them to have an external memory that they could go back to any time and pull all the information needed. And our brain hasn't changed since then. The forgetting curve is the same today as it was back then. So this might explain why you watch a YouTube video on Monday and you can't even recall one idea from it on Sunday. 90% of the information you consume in a week is erased from your brain, even though it could literally change your life. But with the right AI tools, you can simply create an external memory that has all the YouTube videos you watched, all the podcasts you listened to, and every other information you've consumed. This way, you can recall all the important details inside and make them actually stick in your brain. One of the best AI tools for creating this learning system is called NotebookLM. Here's exactly how to set it up. Step 1. Build your source library. Create a new project in NotebookLM and start feeding it everything you're learning from. YouTube videos, podcasts, PDFs, articles, meeting notes, or whatever you're consuming. This becomes your external brain. Step 2. Stop consuming passively and start questioning. Once your sources are in, don't just scroll through them. Ask the AI specific questions. If you watch 3 YouTube videos about sales this week, open NotebookLM and ask it, what are the top 3 actionable techniques from everything I've added this week? It pulls the answer from your actual sources in seconds. Step 3. Use audio overview for passive review. NotebookLM can turn all your sources into an AI-generated podcast so you can commute, walk, or train while it recaps everything you've been learning. Step 4. Do a weekly recap. Every Sunday, ask NotebookLM to generate a key takeaway summary from everything you added that week. This is the review session that will actually help you remember the information you consumed. Now, this external AI memory will massively increase your learning, but if you don't have enough time for it, nothing else matters. And before we actually get to the second system on the list, I want to talk to you about Higgs field. Right now, every top AI image and video model in the world lives in a completely different platform. So if you want to use Google Nano Banana Pro, Kling 3.0, and Sora 2 Pro in the same project, you need to constantly switch between tabs and buy 3 different subscriptions, which can get really expensive. But Higgs field fixes all that. It's one platform that gives you full access to all the image and video AI models out there. If you want a photorealistic image with clean, readable text, Nano Banana Pro handles that better than anything else out there. You write a description, and in just a few seconds, you get this. If you want a video with a lot of motion, you can pick from Kling 3.0, Sora 2 Pro, Seedance, or many more. Here's what I generated with Sora 2 Pro in under a minute. All of these are available inside Higgs field, so go sign up with the link in the description. So that's where the second system comes into play. We've all been in those situations where we had to write an important email, report, or a proposal and get stuck for 45 minutes on a blank page. But there are some people who can get it done in less than 5 minutes using what I call the template system. Even long before AI existed, all rich and successful people were using it. CEOs had assistants drafting the communications for them, lawyers had template libraries, and even Hollywood screenwriters used pre-made beat sheets. So they never started from zero. They used a template that produced 80% of the work for them, so they only needed to adjust the details and add their own taste to the project. Now AI just made this entire system available to everyone. This means you can create an email draft in your exact voice and with your own idea in just a few seconds. And this works with any other project you can think of. Reports, proposals, presentations. AI gets 80% of the work done, and then you just need to add the final touches and it's ready to go. The first thing you want to do is train train the AI on how you actually write. So just go ahead and open ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, paste in 3 to 5 texts like emails or messages you've already written, and then paste this prompt. What you're doing here is giving it a reference point so it knows your tone, your sentence structure, and the way you naturally communicate. And the reason this matters is that without it, everything the AI writes for you will sound off. However, you don't need to do this every time. You just do it once per project, and then you save it for later. Once that's set up, it's very important how you explain your ideas to the AI. Most people just type, "Write me an email," and then wonder why the output doesn't sound like them. If you want to get the best results, you need to explain the full picture. So for an email, give the AI details about the context, what's your relationship with the reader, and also the goal of the email. The more information you give it, the less you'll have to fix later on. So here is the prompt I use, and the response we get back is actually really solid. It gives us a clear, professional update we could realistically send. Now, if you actually want to get faster and better results, ask for 3 different versions. In this way, you can take all the best pieces from each one and combine them together. But even with all these systems in place, there's one step that sticks everything together to capture your raw ideas. Over 200 years ago, one of the chemistry pioneers was completely exhausted. He fell asleep by his fireplace and dreamed of a snake eating its own tail. The dream was extremely strange, so he decided to draw exactly what he saw. 1 year later, when he looked at the same sketch, he had an epiphany. That was the exact hexagonal ring structure of benzene he had been trying for years to find. If he hadn't captured that dream, modern chemistry would probably still struggle to solve this problem. But that's not the main idea. What actually matters is that your brain generates ideas that can literally change your work, relationships, and even the entire world. You have almost 40,000 thoughts every day, but as you know from the forgetting curve, most of them are deleted. Now, not every single thought you have will improve your life, but some ideas have a high potential and should be noted down before you forget them. I personally learned this lesson when I first started this YouTube channel. I remember that everywhere I was, at the gym, going for a walk, or even at work, I had a lot of video ideas coming into my mind. And honestly, I thought that they were so important for me that I'll remember them later on. I remembered them for a few days, but after 4 weeks, when I had to create my content strategy for the next month, I could barely recall 3 video ideas. That's when I started to note down any raw idea I have. No matter if I'm driving, walking, or having dinner with somebody, when I have a thought, I immediately put it in what I call my second brain. And the best part is that I don't have to care about spelling mistakes, grammar, or the flow. Most of the time, I'm actually using voice memos, and when the end of the month comes, I simply throw all my raw and messy ideas into NotebookLM and it organizes them for me. The steps are pretty similar to what we did with the learning system, but make sure you create another project so it doesn't mix with other documents. Once you set up this system for capturing your raw ideas, you actually run into a new problem. Every time you check your digital brain, you see tens if not hundreds of ideas in a single place. And honestly, it was very overwhelming for me to choose the best one until I discovered the Pareto principle. Vilfredo Pareto was an Italian economist who noticed that 20% of the inputs produce 80% of the outputs. And this is actually true in every area you look. In business, the top 20% of customers generate 80% of the revenue. In software engineering, Microsoft found that 20% of bugs cause 80% of crashes. And this also applies in medicine. 20% of patients account for 80% of healthcare costs. Pareto used this principle to create one of the most powerful systems on Earth. If you want to get more successful faster, you don't need to improve everything. You just need to do only the 20% that will give you 80% of results. And here's where AI links the idea capturing system with this principle. Instead of manually going through dozens of raw ideas, you can train the AI to understand your goals and current situation. In this way, it can show you the exact ideas you need to follow to get faster to your desired outcome. So let me show you how I build this system using the GRIP framework. First, I open NotebookLM because this is the place where I have all my raw ideas. And then I build the GRIP prompt. G stands for goal. So here I'm describing the result I'm trying to achieve in the next 90 days. Then I'll write about the resources I currently have. So I'll tell you how much free time I have, the money, energy, and skills that I have available right now. I stands for the raw ideas, but because I already have them inside NotebookLM, I can skip this step entirely. However, if you want to use this AI system on other models, like ChatGPT or Claude, you'll need to paste all your ideas there. Now, for P, describe the pressure from your situation if you have any, so any constraints or big problems you have. Now let's send our GRIP prompt and see what we get back. It has done a way better job than I'd have done myself. As you can see, I now have only the best ideas that will get me the fastest to my goal. But even if I know exactly what to work on, there's still one problem that sabotages dozens of people from hitting their goals. What happens when emotions stop you from taking the right actions? We all had at least a moment in life when we made a decision based on gut feeling and it ended up bad. But after analyzing successful people like Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, Ray Dalio, who closes billion-dollar calls, and Annie Duke, a world-class poker player, I realized they all have one thing in common. They don't take decisions like normal people. Instead, they have a well-defined method for it. And this stops them from making emotional decisions and choosing the best option based on data. That's actually one of the secrets behind their success. And the truth is that it's almost impossible to achieve your goals if you don't have a real system that guides you towards the right path. It has actually been proven by psychologists that the human brain doesn't work well under emotions. It tends to cut corners and to make the easiest decisions, which are more than usual the wrong ones. So if you want to achieve your goals as fast as possible, here's the exact AI decision system I personally use to make data-driven decisions. For this, I need to open Claude. Now, the first thing we're going to do is hit the speech button right here. And the reason we're speaking instead of typing is that when you type, you naturally edit yourself as you go. So you only put down the things that already make sense to you. When you speak, everything comes out, even the emotional parts of your reasoning. So now I'm going to talk through the full situation. Now, before we ask it anything else, we're going to type one specific question. Based on what I just described, what emotional biases might be affecting my thinking? And here's what it gave us back. If you want to go one step deeper, just type, map out the pros and cons of each option and include second-order consequences. Some of the options that seemed simple actually have consequences that make me reconsider my choices. But that's the difference between first-order thinking and second-order thinking. The first one is about what happens if I do this, while the second one is also about what happens after that. So now, we can finally ask, based on everything I told you, what's the best option? And honestly, this is what changed my life. I now go into important decisions with an actual process, instead of just going back and forth in my head for days. So if you want to get faster and better results in your life, these 5 AI systems will give you a massive advantage. And as you saw, most of them are built on top of NotebookLM, so click the video on the screen right now to learn how to master this AI. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.